This is Writers Not Writing, the show where you can get to know your favorite writers and soon-to-be favorite writers by listening to them confess to the ways they procrastinate. Thanks for procrastinating with us. I'm Benjamin Gorman, and the quiet guy behind the glass there is Doug the producer. I write novels and collections of poetry and stuff. Doug tries his best to make me sound better. From NotAPipePublishing, welcome to Writers Not Writing.
If I take my time.
Hail and well met, readers and reviewers. Today we have a very special episode with two of the authors from the forthcoming anthology, The Magic We Miss. I'm excited to introduce Joachim Sohn. Joachim is a writer and illustrator since he escaped from his cradle. His first story at the age of 8 was inspired by the trash movie The Sixth Continent and was called Island of Insects. He grew up in the capital city of Hesse. Yes, like the Hessian in Sleepy Hollow, Wiesbaden, where Elvis landed for his military service, and which is close to, maybe better known as, Frankfurt. Visited Frankfurt, it was quite some time ago. He studied linguistic and Romanistic in Berlin, followed by a qualification at the Animation School Hamburg, and some years of freelance working for the animation industry. He's now living in how do we pronounce Ruhrgebiet? Ruhrgebiet,
Yeah.
town in Western Germany, well known for its steel production. There he works as an animation director in an online advertising agency, just to be able to pay his nerdy living. So welcome, Joachim. Glad to have you here.
Hello. Very great to be there.
And we also have Colleen East. Colleen hails from the Appalachians, and after spending a few years traveling, ended up in the Portland area, where she's currently happy to be. She's an artist and a speculative writer who dabbles in horror, weird fiction, and sci-fi fantasy. She loves the outdoors and likes to spend her procrastination time hiking and volunteering with local environmentalist groups like Friends of Trees. Welcome, Colleen. Glad to have you here today.
Hello. Thanks for hosting all this.
Yes, this is
Cool.
it has been really fun to get to meet all the various authors of this anthology, which drops on November 30th. So we encourage folks to pre-order your copy now. So on today's show, we're going to be taking a minute to get to know about our authors' procrastination habits. And then they're going to get an opportunity to share some of their stories from the Magic We Miss anthology. And again, that anthology comes out on the 30th, and it'll be available in audiobook format after that. So this is a little taste for you of what that will be like. But first, this is a show about how authors procrastinate. So Joachim, what's something that's been pulling you away from your writing lately?
Oh no, why do you ask? I procrastinate whenever I can. But in the first place, I blame it to the cat. No, but to be true, I need the time for thinking about my stories. While I'm hoovering or cooking or while I'm under the shower or else, my brain calms down and scenes and ideas and characters come in. So
Absolutely.
procrastinating is something like a creative process.
Yeah, it is. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I like that, this is something that anyone can relate to. So, yes, I think, all of our readers out there who are listening and seeing us are like, yep, I get that. Totally get that. Colleen, how about you? What has been keeping you away from your work lately?
Well, I have kind of a carousel of fun, is what I like to call it, just like a rotating series of interests that I like obsessively get into. So it kind of varies between like I get really into reading for a while, and then I get really into like video games, and then I get obsessed with the TV show and whatever. So recently because the weather's been so nice, I've been like just outdoors as much as I can before the rains come. My understanding is that it's going to be a pretty wet, particularly wet winter this year, so I'm trying to like get in what I can while I can.
Yes, for the sake of my garden, I need it to be a really wet winter. I did a lot of landscaping and stuff, and I need a lot of rain. And so I'm going, please rain, please rain. And my sister, who's been staying with us, is like, she's from the Midwest, and she's like, a little sun would be nice. So she's enjoying the sun today. It's the Joachim, the weather here lately has just been perfect. It has been not too hot, not too cold, and very sunny.
Good.
Yeah, it's been
You need your basking time before
Yes.
you go into hibernation for the winter.
Yes, and some vitamin D.
Yes.
So Joachim, how about you? What else has been going on?
Well, at the moment, well, first of all, being part of this story and of this collection is the absolutely highlight of this year. I have really to admit, so great to be in there, and never thought this would happen. But yeah, I have some other projects at the moment. I just finished this week the third part of my Time Agents. Time Agent is a steampunk story about a secret agency, and they go through time to see if there are any crimes are happening, and they try to prevent them and all that stuff. It's I call it, it's historic fantasy, what I'm writing very often, because I like to combine historical things that had happened, that really happened, with fantastic elements, like in this case, with time, voyaging through time. And then with a good friend of mine, he's an illustrator, I'm working on a children book for the
cool.
first time. And it's about, here we say a Nachtalb, which means a nightmare, but as a figure, as a person. It's a little like a dark elf, and he has to go in the night to the children and bring them nightmares. But he doesn't like that. At night he wants to sleep, and then he finds out that there are also day elves who can sleep at night, can play at daylight with the children, and bringing them making their dreams, bring their wishes, making their dreams come true and stuff like that. And he really wants to become a day elf, so he does everything to get over to the day elf world. And yeah, this is so we're working at, and we will see if he succeeds.
Yeah. Oh, that is cool.
But, yeah.
Colleen, how about you? What else is going on in your writing life?
Anyways, I'm still chugging through a novel.
Yeah.
It just feels like it'll never be done. And then I've also got like some short stories in progress that I hope to like find a place to go publish them at some point. Probably the most like public facing thing I'll be doing soon is with the Horror Writers Association. They're hosting a kind of reading for Halloween at the end of the month with Bold Coffee, I think it's called. It's the new place that just opened up down in Goose Hollow area. So I'll be reading like a little short story that I wrote like last year that I think will be very appropriate. It's the Halloween themed story, kind of playing on the whole traditional it's actually called a family tradition, but it's about like this family that sits down for dinner on Halloween, and like the spirits of their dead come to like dine with them, basically. But it's all creepy and spooky. So.
Preparing us for an American Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
Yes, American Thanksgiving in 2024 will be creepy and spooky for a lot of folks. I had a little moment of inspiration the other night where I was trying to, you know, like many of us, this has been a challenging time, and I was trying to kind of capture my own sense of just like, you know, being baffled by what I'm seeing in American politics right now. And I tried my hand at some kind of cosmic horror to try and get at, you know, it's just so incomprehensible to the point that it is driving me insane. And it was really fun to get to play with that. And then I was like, I really want this piece to come out before the election. So I was like, this is not going to be sent off anywhere. I just tossed it up on TikTok, but I was like, just did a little reading impromptu. It is not the most polished piece I've ever written. Certainly, it was one day of writing and then reading it and editing. But yeah, this is the season for horror, not just in terms of Halloween, but in terms of kind of where we're trying to express where we're at, I think.
Yeah, I expect everyone to sprout tentacles out of their heads.
Exactly. Like, what are you thinking? Yes. So having some fun with that myself. So I wanted to ask you folks, I'm about to hit episode 100. And my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, is that when you hit episode 100, the show is now established and giant corporations just come and start throwing gobs of money at you. I think that's the way it works. So when they do that, I want to make sure that I'm accepting the right, kind of endorsements. So as a get to know you, if some giant corporation were to say, we want to sponsor your writing, would slap our label on your clothing while you are creating your next novel, endorse you, what would be the company that would be the best endorsement for your writing? So Colleen, how about you? What would be a good corporate sponsor of Colleen East?
The Snuggie.
Excellent.
I don't know if they're still in existence, but yeah, I need to be comfy and cozy while I write. But I still need to use my hands. So what could be better than a nice warm Snuggie? The most undervalued product of our time.
Well, and I love that you're writing like sci-fi fantasy and horror and wearing a Snuggie, staying very comfortable in the process.
Yes.
Excellent. Yes, I'm sure that says something about your writing itself too. Do you tend toward the cozies within those genres?
Oh no.
No,
not at all. A lot of my writing tends to veer into like very uncomfortable territory, for sure. And so like I myself, in order to get there, need to be extremely comfortable. So I'm often like writing on the couch or in bed. Like that's my safe space to like go write and stuff. Because talking with other writers, a lot of people have their own habits, and some people are like, oh, I can't concentrate unless I'm like sitting upright at a desk, like I'm working, I'm focused, whatever. And I'm like, I can't sit up that long. I need to lounge. I need to be comfy. I need like cozy socks and a big hoodie, So
yes. So you are in the Snuggie,
so
totally comfortable on your couch, writing terrifying.
Yes. Writing like the worst stuff you've ever heard in your life. Absolutely.
Oh, that's excellent. Joachim, how about you? Who would be your corporate sponsor?
Well, the first story I wrote was with a mobile phone. I wrote with Word Mobile, and it was about 500 pages. I wrote it every day when I went to work.
Wow.
In bus and in the train. And I thought, why shouldn't Microsoft come and sponsor me? And I wrote them a letter and asked for that. I mean, it's maybe the first story completely written on a mobile phone with Word Mobile, but they never answered. So shame
they
on them.
missed an opportunity. So Microsoft, if you are hearing this, we're going to tag Microsoft in the show notes and say, you've got an opportunity to make amends here, and sponsor Joachim's next work on. They could make a commercial of it. They could send out a film crew and just watch you writing. It's not the most exciting thing to watch.
That's what I thought it could be for my further projects. I don't know. I'm still working with Word, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, beautiful footage of the Germany flying by in the train behind you, and you're just writing, and then I think that's totally a viable ad.
Yeah. But now at the moment, I think a toy company would be great, because I have my little. I wrote a story about cats as detectives. And I started to make little plushies of them.
Oh, how great!
So that would be great if they could sponsor me, because these plushies, they cost a lot of money to produce them. So listen and look and call me.
Yes, folks who are listening to the podcast, Joachim actually has little.
They're already there.
They're already available. Somebody out there should absolutely make these. They're adorable. Oh, that's great. So I will have.
It reminds me of Lackadaisy. Have you seen that one?
Oh, it's so wonderful. It's not today. I don't have the shirt, but I have a shirt of Lackadaisy, and I really love what she's doing there. How's she called?
Tracy Butler.
Tracy Butler, exactly. Yeah. Amazing. And they're already doing little animated films. They want to produce a whole animated film, and I saw the clips and all that, and I sponsored and crowded her books. because I love it so much. It's
Yeah,
exactly what
I
I
did
like.
too.
That's exactly this
I
kind
just
of
got
I'm doing.
yeah, because I also like paid in for the sponsorship too, and I got my books in the mail
Yeah,
just the other day. It's like the return gift for investment, so I was really excited to finally get those.
and she's
Have you seen
producing
that,
plushies as
Benjamin?
well. She has plushies as well, from the
Yeah.
from Crackle and all and other characters. They're so beautiful, really great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Have you
Yes.
seen
Well,
Like a Daisy?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you seen Like a
No, I
Daisy?
haven't. So is this a book series or an animated series?
It
She
started
started,
as a web comic, but now
yeah,
it's going to be an animated thing on
Okay.
YouTube. But they released the pilot episode of like last year at some point. It's worth checking out. But
Lackadaisy.
his little plushies reminded me of it.
I will have
Yeah.
to check that out. I'll put a link in the show notes too for the viewers to check out. Lackadaisy by what's her name? Butler?
Tracy Butler.
The company's called Iron Circus, but the original author is Tracy Butler.
Tracy Butler. Okay, I will check that out. That sounds great. And the characters are little cats or all different kinds of little
Yeah,
animals?
completely. And it plays in the beginning of the 20th century during the how was it called, the
Prohibition.
prohibition. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that
Yeah.
sounds
So a
excellent. I will check that out.
little bit of a nerd plug there.
Yes,
We needed to
absolutely.
geek
No, I
out
mean
about
that's yeah. Well, and I love that moment when you get your rewards gift or whatever. That's a good thing for all our listeners to know about. If you pre-order a book, it's like you get a gift twice because you get this moment where you're like, "Oh, I just supported this author and I feel good about that." And then I don't know if you folks are like me, I'll totally forget about it. And then, a month later, the book arrives and it's like, "Oh, it's Christmas again."
Yes.
So yes, please support authors, support their pre-orders and their crowdfunding efforts, and give yourself a gift 2 times. Um, so we're going to go to our commercial break quickly, and then when we come back, we're going to get to hear you share a little bit from the Magic We Miss anthology. Special announcement time. NotAPipePublishing has always been committed to helping authors and readers find one another. Well, the show, which is all about helping readers get to know writers, just hit a milestone: 10,000 views on YouTube. So to celebrate, instead of charging authors to advertise their books on the show, I'm going to run your ads for free throughout 2024. If you want to make a 30 to 60 second video about your book, let folks know what it's about and where to find it, and don't forget your name and the title. I'll run 1 or 2 of those in our ad spot each week. Just send an MP4 file to the NotAPipe email address in the show notes. Let's fix up some readers and authors into reader relationships. 2024. More readers, more writers, more books.
You deserve a vacation.
How about a trip to a dude ranch on a colony planet?
Or a journey to a universe where wizards call lightning down from the sky and calm rumbling volcanoes?
Or a holiday tour of the major cities of Europe with vampires and werewolves and witches as guides.
Or maybe just a nice hot sudsy bath with a book of poetry that will make you cry and sigh and laugh.
We've got you covered.
A paperback will appear on your doorstep each month to whisk you away, and you'll return refreshed, enlightened, and ready to make the world we share a brighter place for everyone.
Or if you prefer, you can sign up for a quarterly subscription and get 4 YA titles, 4 adult titles, or 4 collections of poetry per year.
Plus, you'll get book club questions from the author before you start the book and an interview with the author afterwards.
So, if you are in a book group or want to start one, this is everything you need in a kit. Will we occasionally throw in some extra surprises just to say thank you to our members? Of course.
You can also give someone their very own membership with all of the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
So, find a reward level that's right for you.
And share this with your friends.
Join the Indulge Your Shelf book club today. Your bookshelves deserve a little pampering.
Hi, I'm children's author Sarah Geddes. I'd love for you to check out my book, Henry the Sneezing Dragon. It's about a clumsy dragon in search of friendship. My book, To the Moon, a Jacob and Trevor adventure, will be released September 2024, a story about 2 little boys who use fairy dust to travel to the moon. And in fall 2024, The Water Bear Astronaut, about a tardigrade who travels to space, will also be coming out. All books will be available on Amazon.
I'm Mary Kendall. I'm a fiction writer. I write stories that are weird, odd, gothic-y, a little bit left off center. What is this? This is my latest release, Bottled Secrets of Rosewood. It's billed as a contemporary gothic thriller, and it's being touted as a page-turner by people that are reading it. It was inspired by a real-life find, a blue bottle that was uncovered in an archaeology dig outside of Williamsburg, Virginia. The bottle was discovered to be a witch bottle. Witch bottles were a thing back in the day. They were filled with items such as thorns, clippings, glass chips to draw out evil intent from the person holding the bottle. Sound interesting? You can find out more at my website, marykendallauthor.com, or if you'd like to buy the book, it's available where all books are sold.
Welcome back, everybody. So I'm here with Joachim Sohn and Colleen East, and we're going to be sharing from their pieces in the Magic We Miss anthology. So Joachim, why don't you start us off with your story, To Where the Pepper Grows, a beery tale.
A berry tale.
Berry tale. Berry. I missed the pun. A berry tale. Okay.
Instead of a fairy tale, it's a berry tale because it's told by a bear.
Excellent. Okay, take it away.
Okay. To Where the Pepper Grows, a berry tale by me. One day, a bear family moved to Beaverton. There was Father Bear, Mother Bear, their two children Betty and Bob, and Grandma Bear. As they were the only bear family in Beaverton, where only beavers lived, they had a hard time at the beginning. The houses were too tiny for the bear family, and the bear children too big for the classrooms. The bear family had to build big house for themselves, which did not fit at all with all the other beaver houses in the neighborhood. At school, the bear children needed at least 2 chairs to have a comfortable seat. On top of that, Betty and Bob's basketball teams always won, as the basket was at the same height as the bear's children's noses. All this led to the situation that after a few weeks, no beaver children wanted to play with the Betty and Bob, nor did any beavers visit the bear family at their homes for a barbecue. That was the way, until one day, Grandma Bear had a great idea. As she was a big storyteller, well-known berry tales from the Isengrim brothers, she invited the beaver and children to the bear family's home to hear the folk tales of the bear realm. Betty and Bob posted invitations all over the beaver's town. Mother Bear made honey cake and hot honey chocolate. Father Bear wore a white straw hat and planned to play musical accompaniment on his jazz piano. The bear family waited and waited, but no beaver child came. "Why do we have to bother with berry tales?" the beaver children told Betty and Bob at school. "We only want to hear beaver tales." Betty and Bob were very, very sad. But then Grandma Bear had another idea. "Let's make our berry tale evening interactive," Grandma Bear suggested. "We don't think that will work," Betty and Bob answered together. Grandma Bear smiled. "You will see. Your friends will come." The next day, the bear family waited for the beaver children again. Grandma in a big rocking chair, Mom with a piano, with a honey cake and honey chocolate, Dad at the piano, and Betty and Bob with their silly party hats. And suddenly, a handful of beaver children appeared at the front door. "Is it true? Are your berry tales interactive?" they asked. "Yes, that's true," Grandma Bear replied. "But what does it mean they're interactive?" another beaver wanted to know. "It means if you don't like my version, you can propose your idea, and if it works, we follow along that way." "Sounds good, huh?" one beaver child with a red fur said to the others. "Okay, let's give it a try," a beaver girl joined in. She turned around to the garden gate where at least 100 beaver children were awaiting the answer of their scouts. "Come on in," she shouted. The bear's house was soon packed with beaver children, having honey cake, hot honey chocolate, waiting with wide eyes to hear what Grandma Bear had to tell. "Did you ever hear the story of Shrivel Bear and the Miller's Daughter?" Grandma Bear asked. No, the children answered. Grandma Bear winked towards Father Bear, and he started his musical accompaniment on the piano with a tremendous tremolo. Then listen well. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful miller's daughter whose father dreamed of becoming a pastry chef. But he was only a miller, and not even a good one. He had a hard time to grinding the grain while he dreamed of fine treats. So it happened that one day he didn't have enough flour to bring to the Bear King for his honey cake. The Bear King required the flour as a tax in exchange for the millers to live and work in his country. The Bear King was annoyed with his daily honey cake. Without his daily honey cake. Did you at least bring some honey as compensation? The Bear King asked angrily. The miller lowered his head. No, I don't have no honey. The Bear King growled and gnashed his teeth. The miller then quickly added, but my daughter, she can conjure up honey. Conjure honey? How so? With her singing, she lures the bees, who then bring their honey filled in pots until the barrels are full, the miller explained. The king liked that very much. He loved honey and ate it pure when it was not available as a cake. And so he commanded the miller's daughter to come to the castle. She shall go in the tower chamber and wait for further instructions, the king ordered. But why, one of the beaver children wanted to know, does the miller have to give the king flour just for that he can live in his kingdom? And another added, yeah, if the king wants flour for his honey cake, he has to pay the miller for it. All right, said Grandma Bear, let's do it like that. Then the king orders and buys the honey cake from the miller. But the miller's daughter should still sing, okay? The children nodded in agreement. Grandma continued her story. So it happened that the Bear King ordered the flour for a tray of honey cake from the miller, and because the miller hadn't finished grinding the flour, the king ordered the miller's daughter to sing for honey. When the miller's daughter heard this, she cried bitterly. In the chamber, there was nothing but a wooden stool, straw to sleep, and empty barrels waiting for honey. The miller's daughter wept. What should she do now? She could neither sing, nor had she ever heard of the story of bees giving away their honey as a thank you for someone singing. But she had a lot of imagination. Her father had probably relied on that in hopes of saving them both. How she wished he would be a more reliable miller who didn't waste his time dreaming about pastries. When the miller's daughter finally ran out of tears, she decided she should try to sing. As expected, it sounded terrible. But she continued. After the miller's daughter had sung for hours without anything happening except becoming quite hoarse, the door to her room burst open. A little bear with a hunchback came in. He wore overalls and a felt hat with a feather on it. Why are you lamenting and complaining so dreadfully, fair miller's daughter? Asked the little bear. It really sounds terrible. I heard it all the way to my hut out in the woods. They call me Shrivel Bear, and I thought I'd sneak in and ask if I can help you. This is a quite funny name, the miller's daughter giggled, but then remembered her situation. Oh, dear Shrivel, the little bear interrupted. It's like shriveling after sitting too long in a hot bathtub. It's because I'm a little too small for a bear. That's why they call me. Oh, I feel very sorry for that little Shrivel, the miller's daughter apologized. I really didn't want to hurt you. It's just, I'm so desperate. I'm supposed to sing until the bees come and fill those barrels with their honey. But I can neither sing nor have I ever heard such stories about bees. Oh, I can help you with that, said Shrivel Bear. You can? Yes, it's because it's true. When I want honey, I sing a song to the bees and they come and pour their honey into my bowl. The miller's daughter was overjoyed. Really? I'd be so grateful if you would do that for me. Then the king will be satisfied and let me go home. The miller's daughter thought for a moment. But what can I give you in return? I have nothing. Give me your necklace. It's quite fine, and I like things that shine. I would be satisfied with that. The miller's daughter nodded and handed him her necklace. Shrivel Bear put the necklace carefully into a pocket of his overalls and then began to sing. He sang in the most beautiful tones, far more beautiful than a nightingale's. Before long, honeybees flew in through the window, each with a small pot full of honey. They poured the golden liquid into barrels and buzzed thank yous to the shrivel bear before flying away. The miller's daughter, however, could not believe what she saw. She clapped her hands with excitement and thanked Shrivel Bear for helping her. When the Bear King saw all the barrels full of honey, the next morning he was very happy. But instead of letting the miller's daughter go, he ordered her to sing another day and fill more barrels for him. After all, her father had not yet delivered the promised flour, and the king intended to slurp honey until he was stuffed and satisfied. I could stop here. I could still continue reading. It continues like that, but finally, I think they have a great idea how they could solve this little problem.
Oh no, I think that's a wonderful teaser. That was great, and I loved the reading. I think that turned out really well. So
yeah, but
that's fantastic.
I'm
Folks
struggling
can.
sometimes, but yeah.
No, I was entranced, so it went very
Okay,
well.
great.
So excellent. And so there's a little taste for folks that will be in the Magic We Miss. And Colleen, how about you?
Well, today I'm going to read just a brief excerpt. My story is called Undoing. And since I live here in Portland, I had it take place here in Portland. And when I was brought onto the project, the kind of prompt I was given was that it needed to, involve magical animals or creatures of some kind, and it needed to involve the public transit system in Portland in some way. So I decided to, after doing some research on the public transit around in the area, I use the trains all the time. I hate driving, so any chance I get to take the train anywhere, that's what I will do. But I ultimately ended up going with what's known as bike buses. And it's like a program that is kind of growing in the Portland area to help kids get to school, but like in a safe way on bikes. So basically the idea is that you have a couple volunteer adults who kind of like lead them through a neighborhood. And I guess it depends on how they set it up, but you can either all meet up in one place and all go together, or like the bike bus winds through a neighborhood and picks up kids kind of like a regular bus does. But, it helps keep the kids safer because they're in a big noticeable group and they get to like socialize and get fresh air and exercise before they go to school. So they're, more awake and they get, the health benefits of all that. So in my story, it's centered around a kid who has to take the bike bus because his mom insists on it. And he's kind of grumpy. He's a sullen boy. He doesn't like it. And one day, in a fit of boredom, he destroys a birdhouse that's by the place where he waits. And unbeknownst to him, there's a fairy living in there who gets a little PO'd and kind of starts messing with them as a consequence of it. So this excerpt is a little further into the story when the fairy is continued escalating to a point. Belief is a funny thing. Some say belief has no effect on the reality of things, and yet some things need to be believed to be real. Belief then can indeed change the world. Much confusion has been caused by this conundrum, especially concerning fairies, and even more so for lies. The tensile strength of Brett's belief, or non-belief as it were, was tested when Maria chided him into a race. That morning, as he merged with the bike bus, he slid in next to her by accident. She seemed just as surprised as he. "Hi," she said. Brett refused to look at her. "I'm just trying to be friendly," she said. He said, "I don't make friends with stupid girls." "What about stupid boys?" "Them either." She humphed. "Like I'd want to talk to you anyway." Maria did not like Brett. She didn't want to talk to him because he was mean. However, she was a sweet girl, and her mama had taught her to be kind to everyone. So, to try and be nice, she thought of something else they could do besides talk. "Want a race?" she asked. Brett scowled. "Races are stupid." "You probably say that because you can't beat a stupid girl." "No," he said, "it's just stupid to try." "I know I would win." "You don't know anything." "Last one to Mr. Carroll is a rotten egg," Maria crowed and pedaled off. Fine, Brett shouted. He pumped his legs, leaning forward to catch up to her. He fell behind right away, so he pedaled harder. His bike only seemed to slow down. The asphalt rolled under his tires like a treadmill. The more he pushed, the more he stayed where he was until he was standing up on the pedals and panting with the effort, all the while remaining completely still. Miss Shelby pulled up next to him in her bright orange vest. She stopped, one foot planted on the ground, and leaned on her handlebars with an amused smile. Isn't this a sight? She said. Face flushed, both from the exercise and embarrassment, Brett plopped onto his seat and stopped pedaling. His bike lurched forward as if it were a sprinting horse. He flew backward and would have landed flat on his back if Miss Shelby hadn't caught hold of his arm. The bike raced forward on its own until it careened into a wall of snowbrush bushes. There it fell over and stopped once more, an inert object. The other kids ahead of them stopped pedaling to see what the noise was. Once they saw the bike in the bushes with one wheel still spinning in the air and Brett's gaping face, they laughed. Brett turned red. They work in strange ways, don't they? Said Miss Shelby. Brett yanked his arm out of her grip. Who? Miss Shelby said, fairies. This time, Brett did not find it such a stupid idea. Yay!
That is great. I love the way that turned out, and I like the intro too. That'll work really well at the reading on at Powell's. So if folks can make that, you will get to hear some just wonderful excerpts. Thank you both for sharing those. Before we get to our send off, I need to thank some folks. Thanks to the artist Max Oakland, who reached out and provided one of his songs for our intro song, the song "I Prefer the Dusk." Let Max know you like it by following him on Twitter at Max Oakland with 3 Ds. And thanks to Halizna CCO for their song Kids for the ad break. If you're in a band and would like your song used on the show, I'd love to highlight a listener's work like Max's song, so email me about that. Thanks to Doug, the producer, for making the show sound good and taking the blame when it doesn't. And I cannot forget to mention, Writers Not Writing is a production of NotAPipePublishing, so please go to NotAPipePublishing.com and check out the amazing books by writers who didn't procrastinate too much. If you like this show, rate and review it wherever you found it. Please check out Joachim Sohn's Amazon page. You can find him there on Amazon. Check out Colleen's work that's coming out, and tell your friends about that. Keep an eye out for Colleen's novel that is in process. Even a very short review. Yes, exactly. I mean, it's an inevitability, and. When that comes out, please go give it a quick review and click on that 5th star. It makes a huge difference to authors. And same with this show, click on that little, I'm too old to say smash that like button, but if you could gently click on the little thumbs up there in front of you, I'd really appreciate it. So,
tap it like a good boy.
Yes, yeah. I mean, an odd number of times is fine. I don't mind if you click on the thumbs up, multiple times. But you don't have to damage your mouse. Like that's not really required. Yeah. What is your advice for our listeners as they go into their week? Joachim, what about you? What is your advice for everybody?
For everybody. My advice would be Fischers Fritze fischt frische Fische und frische Fische fischt Fischers Fritz, which is a tongue twister. If you succeed saying this, your week will be great.
I'm gonna have to write it out on the screen for the viewers, but the folks who just heard that on the podcast, can you say it one more time for the folks on the podcast?
Fischers Fritz fischt frische Fische und Fische fisch frische Fisch Fischers Fritz. I can't even I don't. At this time, it's 9 p.m. In my hometown now. It's nearly 10 p.m. So I'm a little bit.
I can't even tell you that you pronounced it correctly, but I believe, based on what I'm reading, that you did pull it off.
It has something to do with that.
So, roughly, how would that translate into English? What does it mean?
Fischer's Fritz is fishing fresh fish, and fresh fish is fished by Fischer's Fritz.
So it's a variation on the Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Exactly.
One of my
favorites. By the seashore.
Have you seen the article about the word buffalo? Have you either of you seen this?
No.
So the word buffalo has like
Oh yeah. I know,
multiple
yeah.
meanings. You can
Advertise
buffalo
buffalo,
someone
yeah.
as a verb, and
Oh
it
yeah.
means to trick them. And of course, buffalo is the, word we incorrectly apply to American bison. And there's Buffalo, New York, and so there is a variation where you can say buffalo, 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 and syntactically, it is a complete sentence. You're saying the buffaloes from Buffalo, New York, trick the buffaloes from Buffalo, New York. So it's Buffalo, 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 and it is a grammatically correct sentence.
Wow. English
Love
is
that.
such a great language, isn't it?
I teach high school English, and all the time I'm just apologizing to my students, especially the second language learners. I'm just saying, there's but why is it cough and rough and through and though? And I'm like, because this language is mean. It's just cruel. We just
None of it
grabbed
makes sense.
pieces
You
of
just
different
feel it
languages
out.
and smashed them together. It's just abusive. I'm sorry.
It's all intuitive. There's no rules. No rules, just right.
And you just are expected to memorize it. Like over time, you'll get it. But for writers, it's a wonderful language because it is so complex and so rich. In many other languages, you can say the blue house, and we have like 5 words for blue, and syntactically, we can make it the house which is blue or the blue house. Whereas in a lot of other languages, they're far more strict, and they say you always have to have it this way. And so it's a great language for writers, but it's a terrible language to learn. It's just a mess.
Actually,
Yeah.
I actually keep at my computer like a little note. It's probably hard to read, of like the descriptive order of adjectives.
Yes.
The opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, purpose, noun. So lovely little old rectangular green French steel whittling knife. And if you have those adjectives in any other order, it makes no sense to the native English speaker. And it's such a weird little like quirk that I had to write it down as like a reminder of,
and what is so wild about that is, and what is so wild about that is native English speakers just intuitively know it. And so, you can test little kids and they will sequence their adjectives in that way, but nobody ever taught them when they were 4 years old. Okay, this is the sequence they must be in. But you're right. If we hear it incorrectly, we're like, that sounds weird. I don't quite know why. But you can't say the square ugly house. Like you have to put the opinion first. Like, it is an interesting quirk of that's Chomsky's what does he call it? The internal grammar module that we just know somewhere in our brains that this is the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, like big brown cat makes no sense if you say brown big cat for whatever reason.
Yeah, it just sounds wrong to us. So yeah, that it is a very, very difficult language for second language learners. I feel a great deal of sympathy for my students who are trying to learn English, and also pride that they can master it because it is not easy.
Even native English speakers feel pride when they master it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and letting these students know when they're looking around and they're going, everybody else around me can speak this, and I'm like, no, I'm 47 and I'm making mistakes all the time. This is just an intensely complex language. Colleen, what is your advice for everybody going into their week?
Oh, just have fun. Life's too short. Just have fun.
Yep.
I don't know what it is for you, but just have fun with it.
Excellent. Well, and the only thing I would add to that is both Joachim and Colleen and I all want you to know that no matter how much you procrastinate, we're still proud of you.
Always.
Yeah.
If I take my time, I'll make up my